Bright Duty. Every student matters.
Okay, so the first question is, what do you know about bureaucratic rule? So bureaucratic rule is basically rule of the high government officials. Alright? Next question. Why is partition viewed as an extremely significant marker in South Asian history? Now there are various reasons, okay? Let's put some of the points that we have already understood. So partition is one of the significant events in South Asian history because it brought an end to the colonial rule in India. Number two, it led to the birth of a new nation, and that is called Pakistan. It saw violence, killing of people, destruction of homes, rape and abduction of women, mass migration of millions of people across the border, etc. Okay, so these are the reasons why partition is one of the important events in the history of South Asia. The next question. Explain how Indian partition was a culmination of communal politics that started developing in the opening decades of the 20th century. So we know that some of the historians believe that partition was the outcome of communal politics. Okay, so again here let's put down some few points. The first one is Jinnah's to nation theory. Right? Whereby he proposes separate states for both Hindus and Muslims. Okay, so this led to communal feeling. Number two is hatred among the two communities, and here the two communities are Hindus and Muslims, right? Hatred among the two communities existed from the medieval to modern times. Okay, so that led to also communal tensions between the two communities. And the third point is the provision of separate electorate Okay, whereby the Muslims now, according to Morley Minto reform of 1909, introduced by the British government, the Muslims now could elect their own representatives. Now all these, what it did, it strengthened hostility between Hindus and Muslims, and also led to the rise of communal politics, which ultimately led to the partition of India. Okay? What is the meaning of communalism? Communalism means politics which makes efforts to unify one community around a religion in hostile opposition to another community. Okay? The next question. What did Muslim League do for winning Pakistan? Advocate the two-nation theory. By this theory, Hindus and Muslims were to have two separate nations. Alright? They were two separate nations and cannot live together. So, they were to have two separate nations. The next question. How many members are in British Cabinet Mission? In British Cabinet Mission, there were 3 members. The next question. Write the most prominent leader of Muslim League. Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The next question. Who was the Prime Minister of Britain in 1947 at the time of Indian independence? It was Sir Clement Attlee. The next question. Who was an army officer of the Indian National Army? So we have option 1, Gurbakh Singh, Dhillon, Premnath, Sehgal, Shah Nawaz, all of the above. So it is all of the above. All of these 3 people were army officers of the Indian National Army. The next question. Who issued the August Offer Statement in 1940? The correct answer is Lord Linlithgow. The next question. When and where did the Muslim League pass the Pakistan Solution? The correct answer is Lahore, 1940. The next question. Quit India movement started in which year? It started in the year 1942. The next question. Lord Wavell called the Shimla Conference to declare independence, solve Indian political problems, both 1 and 2. And last option, entertainment. The correct answer is to solve Indian political problems. The next question. In which place was Indian National Army founded? Japan, Singapore, Delhi, Calcutta. The correct answer is Singapore. When was atom bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Was it 1942, 1944, 1945, 1940? The correct answer is 1945. The next question. Why did the Congress ministries in the provinces resign in 1939? Because India was being dragged to World War II without the consultation Indian national leaders. Alright? The next question. What was the reaction of the Indian National Congress to the August offer? The reaction was that the Indian National Congress rejected the August offer. Alright? The next question. Give the name of the Congress leader who was the first individual Satyagrahi. So he was Vinoba Bhave. The next question. Why did the Congress reject the Cripps mission plan? Because it did not mention any plan of political independence for India in near future. The next question. What was the reaction of the Muslim League to the Cripps mission proposal? The Muslim League rejected the proposals of mission. The next question. Where did Subhash Chandra Bose organize the Indian National Army? In Singapore. The next question. Give any two recommendations of the Cabinet Mission Plan. Number 1. It said provincial assemblies to be divided into 3 sections. A, B and C. And we know A was for the Hindu majority and B and C Muslim majority, both in northwest and northeastern part of India. And number 2, powers to set up intermediate level, executive, and legislature of their own. Alright? The next question. Why did the Muslim League decide to start Direct Action Plan in 1946? To accentuate their demand for a separate Muslim homeland or Pakistan. The next question. What declaration was made by Lord Attlee on February 28, 1947 in British Parliament? Lord Attlee declared that the British government would quit India after transferring power to the responsible and not later than June 1948. Okay? The next question. What did Muslim League demand through its resolution of 1940? They demanded for an autonomy for Muslims in Muslim majority areas. The next question. Why was individual satyagraha suspended by the Congress? Because Japan entered the World War II, and the safety of India was at stake. The next question. Write a short note on Cripps' mission. Number 1. It was led by Sir Stafford Cripps. Its aim was to win the support of Indians in the British war efforts. Number 3. It proposed provision of dominion status . to India after the war. Number 4, and by dominion status it meant that it would be ruled as part of the partnership of the British Commonwealth nations. Alright? And fourth, we can say that Cripps' mission failed. Alright? The next question. What was Wavell Plan and why did it fail? Wavell Plan was constituted to resolve the political standstill in India. It failed because both Congress and League, the Muslim League, were in disagreements with each other. You can also add that the League did not approve of this plan because it did not recognize their demand for a separate nation for the Muslims, right? Or a homeland for Muslims, which is Pakistan. And the Congress did not approve or rejected this plan because it suggested that the provinces could separate from the union, which meant disintegration of the Indian state, and the Indian Congress were not in agreement with that plan or suggestions. Okay. The next question. What was the attitude of the Indian National Congress towards World War II? During World War II, India was dragged into the war without consultation with Indian national leaders or Congress leaders. This was rejected by them, and they were of the opinion that they would not take part in the war until and unless complete freedom was provided to India. Okay, so that was the attitude of the Indian National Congress towards the Second World War. Supported or encouraged disassociation from war. The next question. What was the August offer of 1940? Why was it rejected by the Indian political parties? So it was an offer provided to the Indians in lieu of their support to the British war efforts in World War II. It was rejected by the Congress because the British government failed to provide complete independence and rejected by the League because it failed to acknowledge their demand for separate state. Okay. The next question. Why did Mahatma Gandhi start individual satyagraha? What were its features? Mahatma Gandhi started individual satyagraha to express people's disapproval towards India's participation in World War II. Its features were: number one, people were to take part in mass protest demonstration, and the demonstrations were to be non-violent in nature. These were the main features. These were the main features of Mahatma Gandhi's individual satyagraha. The next question. What were the recommendations of the Cripps mission? Why did the mission fail? The number one recommendation is establishment or provision of dominion status to India after the war. Number two is establishment of constitution making body. To frame the new constitution. Number three, separation from union to those seeking it. Number four, control of defense by the British and others by Indian representatives. Right? I'm writing in short. And number 5 was cooperation in the British war efforts. Cooperation of Indians in the British war efforts. Alright, these were the recommendations. Now the mission failed because mission failed because number 1, the Congress leaders wanted immediate freedom, and the recommendations did not provide that. Number 2, Congress did not want disintegration of the Union. So the recommendation clearly stated that those provinces who would come together to form a union could come, and those who wanted to form separate provinces of their own could form separate provinces. So this was not approved by the Congress because they wanted a unified country and not a disintegrated one. And number 3 is that it failed because Jinnah wanted assurance that his demand for a separate homeland for Muslims or creation of Pakistan would be fulfilled, and this was not provided by the Cripps mission plans. Alright, so that is why it was rejected by both the political parties and its leaders, and hence the mission failed. The next question: why did change come in the view of Congress on partition? With instances of communal violence before the partition convinced the Congress that there was no other way than partition. Alright? The next question: give the main features of Indian national movement from the 1937 to 1947. Now this can be a long answer, but here I'll quickly point out the main events or main features of the period asked. So first is 1937. In 1937, the elections took place where the majority seats were won by the Congress, right? And provincial autonomy was provided. In 1939, World War II or the Second World War broke out. And we know that India was dragged in the war without consultation with the Indian nationalist leaders, and then this led the Indian leaders to resign from their ministries, and then satyagraha, individual satyagraha took place, right? So we know that. And then in 1940, Muslim leagues resolution for separate state was passed in Lahore. 1942 Quit India movement. And then you can briefly talk about what this movement was, whether it was a failure, how did it end, all that. And then you can also say in 1944, Japan and INA attack the British in the northeast of India, and in 1945 Japan loses in the war, and with that it impacts the INA, and then the war comes to an end. Right? And in 1947, we can talk about the communal riots, and then partition and independence. So all that you can write.